Hey everybody, and welcome back to another SAC Reviews, and today we are looking at Hades 2 for the PC from the developers at ScrewLooseGames. Hades 2 is the sequel to 2020's Hades, the massively successful and self-proclaimed godlike roguelike. While the game hasn't exactly released yet, it has just dropped in early access about just under 2 weeks ago now, and it's set to last until at least the rest of this year and not fully release until 2025 at the earliest. But for early access, this is already incredible stuff. I was a big fan of the first Hades, spending several dozen hours playing the game, experimenting with different builds to try and get the highest heat and time possible, until I eventually ended up actually platinuming it without even setting out to do so, and even then I still go back to it to this day. It's just a good, fun, well-controlling, well-made game. Hades 2 follows up many years after the end of the first game, where this time instead of playing as Zagreus, Prince of the Underworld, we play as his sister Melinoe, and instead of trying to break out of hell, we're trying to break in. Hades' father Kronos, the Titan of Time, has taken over the Underworld, and you, with the help of your headmistress Hecate, along with what few survivors remain like Odysseus and Nemesis, must fight your way into hell to put a stop to Kronos and put the rightful ruler of the Underworld back in his throne. Much like the first game, Supergiant's storytelling here is an absolute masterclass in writing. Many people, myself included, weren't even expecting a Hades 2, not only because this is the first time Supergiant have ever even done a sequel, but the story of the first game feels very one and done. While yes, with the Greek pantheon of gods having so many characters and stories to pull from, there's lots of potential for places this world can go, but that initial story had a very satisfying beginning, middle and end, and sometimes a sequel isn't always necessary. But for what story is here so far, Hades 2 is great, and not only in the mainline adventure, but all of the side content as well, learning about all the myths, gods and legends of ancient Greece naturally throughout your playthrough, and simultaneously painting it as not only this big epic story for the future of time and ruler of the underworld, but also as a family squabble, as the Greek gods, while being a family, very rarely all got along, even making references to this not even being the first time Kronos has tried pulling something like this. The gameplay isn't a copy and paste of the first game, but you can definitely still see the skeleton of where all this came from. You still have several weapons to choose from, unlockable permanent skills, and the various different builds you can make with what boons drop on a run, but it's really been fine-tuned here, while also changing it up enough to make Melinoe feel different to Zagreus, but keeping it similar enough that it's not like learning a whole new game. It did take me a hot minute to get used to some things, like the new magic element of the game. Your main, special, and cast attacks all have an alternate fight mode to them which takes up magic points now. You can activate this by holding down any of the buttons, and at first I wasn't really using this at all, but once I started to learn and understand how certain boons affected things like the cast, my build started becoming a lot more powerful and very focused on what builds I was going for every run. While no double dash in this game, Melinoe does have a sprint, which itself can be infused with various power-ups through the boons, and where this has been a point of complaint for some people, I actually quite like it. Yes, it makes dodging attacks and getting out of danger more difficult than the first game, but with the right setup, the sprint can be even more powerful than the double dash ever was, making you as fast as the Flash with the right Hermes boon, while also inflicting elemental damage, if synergised with the right opposing god. There's plenty of other changes, like the addition of a garden for crafting resources, the hot springs for even more character interactions, animal familiars that each come with their own stat boosts, and even an entire second area to unlock and run, on the surface world no less. Though this section is not yet finished in the early access version, it still offers great rewards in unique resources, boss fights, and the overall potential to make Hades 2 literally twice the game Hades 1 already was by the time of full release. Supergiant also continues their trend of having some of the most beautiful artwork and character designs in the business. While several character designs haven't been revealed yet and currently just have this cloaked avatar as a place filler, the returning characters that are here truly have some stunning art designs and really creative depictions on these Greek gods and legends, both old and new. I don't know whose idea it was to make Scylla and the Sirens a rock band, but that was a touch of genius. Having the corrupt Cerberus look so twisted and evil compared to the goodest boy we knew from the first game, but then on closer inspection actually being able to notice things like all the dark shades that have clung themselves onto him and are starting to corrupt him. So even Skelly returning, but this time as Skelemius with a beard, medals and as a general. They're all just really fun ideas with cool designs. The voice acting and sound design is a step above even the aesthetic. The score is once again brilliant with some genuine earworms, particularly with the Siren song Coral Crown.
Say
which even has the added level of detail in the sound design. Where performed as a full rock band in the boss fight, you can also hear a more classic siren song style in the levels leading up to it.
Don't look down.
Then in said boss fight, having each band member's instrument cut out as you beat them. Or even in the final boss fight against Kronos, if you pause the game, he is the Titan of Time, will not let you pause the game and you'll be met with this screen.
No. You do not control the flow of time. Not here. Your power is formidable, but no.
Really simple ideas like this that work so well and add that extra layer to the experience that not too many games actually bother putting the effort into. As for the voice acting, the returning cast once again crushes it and brings their A game, along with all the new additions. Some standouts being, once again, Logan Cunningham, voicing several characters with Hades, Poseidon, Charon, Polyphemus, the narrator, and even the new big bad himself, Kronos. The fact he can voice several key figures, including the main antagonists of both games now, and make every single one sound so unique, it's just a testament to this man's talent.
Few tales are told of Hades.
Greetings, Father. I was not expecting your arrival.
Turns out that old sneak Kronos got him. There was nothing we could do.
Grown a full beard and a broad frame, I see. And now you have a family of your own.
And with the new cast, Judy Alice Lee does a fantastic job as Melinoe. Not only do you believe everything she's saying, whether it's remorse, regret, or hope and encouragement, but her voice, it just complements the overall sound and attitude of her brother Zagreus from the first game very nicely.
I am. Up there, I'll be like a fish out of water, right? Suffocating. But with a proper incantation, I was thinking maybe I could hold my breath until Olympus is secure.
You can't be serious. You're going to pretend as though it never happened. She wants answers same as I do. She demands you let me pass. Let me go to her again.
And while it's an obvious pull, it has to be mentioned, Amelia Tyler, who made her voice a gaming household name when she voiced the narrator of Baldur's Gate 3, returns here and gives an absolutely stellar performance as the witch mentor, Hecate.
Come here. Time forced our hand, Melinoe. Nereus' soul expected you to slay our enemy last night on a new moon, no less. But you accomplished something of great import. You're here to speak of it. Recovered in body, if not in spirit. You've not failed, merely begun. Thus may you learn, grow stronger, and complete your task. Death to Kronos.
The entire cast are great, but those three in particular need to be highlighted. Difficulty-wise, it's hard to say right now. Being early access and all, it goes about saying a lot of things will be tweaked, buffed and nerfed before the final game's release, but right now it's very fairly matched with the first game. There are some boss fights and areas that are noticeably easier than the first game, but some of them are no joke. I'd probably say the first half of the game is easier than the first half of Hades, but the second half is definitely a step up, especially the final area and boss fight against Kronos. He almost feels like a difficulty modifier step up compared to the rest of the game, and is a much harder fight than Hades was in the first game. He's obviously not impossible, and people are already finding builds that absolutely melt away at him, but when I played the first game, I reached Hades for the very first time around my 15th run and beat him for the first time on my 23rd. This game, however, I reached Kronos by only my 8th run, but I didn't actually manage to beat him until well after my 25th run. Despite consistently being able to reach him, I really needed some of those more powerful permanent upgrades to actually stand a chance against this mad Titan. All in all, Hades 2, despite being in early access and vocally stating they're going to stay there for a little while yet, already feels like an essentially complete and competent game. It looks good, it sounds good, it plays good, and it feels good. It's got that same addictive gameplay loop from the first and manages to make death not seem like a chore but a learning experience every single time, which for me personally that's one of the hardest things to do in a roguelike. Right now, with the exception of the obvious things like unfinished artwork, yet to come areas, bosses and an actual ending to the game, the biggest problem I've got with Hades 2 is that I don't want to stop playing it. But I kind of do. I just don't want to get burned out before the game fully releases next year, but when the game's biggest problem is you want to stop playing it but you can't because it's too good, I mean, that's a pretty good problem to have, I'd say. While I really think this game deserves the full 5-star treatment already, with it being early access that just wouldn't feel entirely right, as while I'm confident they will, they still have to stick that final landing. But for now, despite in my heart already being there, I'm going to give Hades 2 the highest 4 out of 5 I can possibly give. Have you played Hades 2 yet? If so, what do you think of it? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.